In today's show, we're going to look at customizing your PowerApps forms to make them look a little more like InfoPath. Right, I've gotten the question a few times, how do we add headers in there? How do we add some visual effects? How do we show what fields display or not? How do we change some field behaviors? So we're going to go in and just kind of tweak a little custom form I've made, show you a couple tips and tricks to hopefully make it a little easier for you to make a nice visual form. But first, here's our intro. Hi, my name is Shane Young with Bold Zebras, those guys. And today's show is about making those InfoPath looking PowerApp forms, right? So all we're gonna do is just take a basic form and we're just gonna go play with it. We're gonna show you how to add some cards to bring some visuals in. Break up some sections, set some borders. We'll hide a field based on whether or not the user has access. We'll talk about some submit buttons, just a whole bunch of easy to put in place stuff, but things I think it's important for you guys to understand so that you have a better feel for making forms that your users are used to seeing as you attempt to recreate your InfoPath forms. Right? We know eventually we're going to get away from just making these look like InfoPath and start to build better experiences, but I also respect that, in the transition time, it's easier just to build kind of one for one what you have. So that's what I thought I'd make this video to help you guys out with some more. All right, so let's switch over to my desktop. And so here, I'm going to give you real quick just to show. This is kind of what we're going to do, right? So we're going to talk about putting this header up here at the top. We're going to talk about how I get colors. It's one of those neat little tricks I've got. It's probably worth watching the whole video, quite frankly. And then how I put in the subsection. We're going to see how I made it so that favorite color here is disabled because I'm not the right user. And then we'll talk about submit, the cancel, and navigate. So just a bunch of quick stuff like that, though. Hopefully I won't drone on too much, and we'll just get right to the point. And so to get right to the point, what I'm going to do is jump over to PowerApps, and we're going to say apps, and then create an app. Okay, and then when this shows up, we're actually build from a tablet layout, but a blank app. I could have chosen SharePoint as data, but then it gives us a bunch of stuff, and I don't want a bunch of stuff. I want to kind of show you guys everything that was going on here. So we're going to skip this, and we're just going to hop right in here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to insert a gallery. We're going to choose the vertical, and then for data sources, I'm going to add a data source. And just to make this easy, I'm going to use the SharePoint list. You could use an Excel, SQL, whatever data source you wanted. I just chose SharePoint. So then here I'm going to go to my employee details and say connect. Now, once again, I didn't want to start from the SharePoint list because I didn't want it to do all this work for us behind the scenes. I want you to see how it all went. So we're going to change this to title and subtitle because this one's not important. This is just our quick little, gets us to our actual form we want to mess with. So just like that, right? There you go. Got a gallery, show me two things. Yay. So we're going to create a second screen. So new screen, blank, and we'll call this item details because it makes more sense. And so then on screen one, what we'll do is we'll change this little button right here and we'll say, all right, select parent. And then what we want to do is navigate to item details. And then you have to give it a transition. So I always do cover because I'm lazy. So just like that, boom, we hit play, we press this button. We're on to our screen 2, which is blank right now. Now we're going to add a form, right? So we're going to say form, and we want we'll do an edit form. All right, so we're going to put an edits form here. So it's our data source, it's employee details. And so then it's pulling, it's like, joop, 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 joop. It's doing all the connections for us. And then what we want to do here is we're going to change the item to be gallery1 dot selected. Just like that. And look at all that data we've got. Awesome. All right, we're kicking with gas here. Oh, now the other thing I want to do though is I don't want to show all this, right? There's too much going on. So let's click on vertical over here again. And most of the stuff's at the bottom. So I'm going to scroll to the bottom. And I'm going to say, all right, I do not want item as a record. I do not want compliant ID. I don't care about attachments or has attachments or folder path, name, link to learn, identifier, ID. Oh, lots to get rid of. We're going to get rid of this stuff. Okay, so that gives me just the things that my users want, right? So title, doom, doom, doom. And then I'm going to also switch this. I want to put phone number up there. So I'm going to rearrange a little bit. I'm going to move phone number. So I'm just going to grab it here. I'm going to slide him up. You got to kind of hold it in just the right place to get it to slide up sometimes. Oh, nope. I didn't want to move phone number. Put phone number back where it was. I want to move birthday. So where's birthday? There he is. Birthday. There you go. That's what I wanted to happen. All right. So there we've got our basic form, right? Showing us what's in our lists. Nothing fancy there. I might grab this, we'll kind of pull it out here. And so now one of the questions I got earlier is how do I move this stuff around, right? I want to get a header at the top of the screen. What's in the way? Well, the thing is there, you click on form 1, and then you can grab it and you can move the whole form around as you see fit, okay? You can also resize the form, make it a little smaller. So that kind of gives us that room, because the question I had was how do we make the header at the top? So now I'm going to say icons, and we're going to say a rectangle. We'll put it up here, put it in the corner, kind of grab it and drag it over here. So that gives us a rectangle, boom. And then we will insert a label, and we will, in there, we'll type, let's call this our screen header. So that way we kind of know what stuff is. Now I'm going to take that, I'm going to go to home, we're going to say, all right, let's make that bold, let's make it white, let's make it centered, and let's make it like a 40 font. Oh yeah, grab that. And so then typically I'd kind of make it just take up the whole screen or the whole box. Drag it over here. And so then now I've got my screen header at the top, right? Yay. Don't forget up here in the text, it's real easy for you guys to change the text value here, right? So we select text. And so you could put in things like screen header and gallery 1 dot selected dot name. Right, so screen header Shane Young, we put a space there. Okay, we do this. And so then that way it'll update dynamically based on what you chose on the previous screen, right? Easy enough, all right? So that's the first piece of it. So then the next thing that the person asked me for that I was like, oh, I don't know how to do that. But he wanted to have this kind of broken up into sections. So it turned out I tried really hard, and then I thought, wait, maybe there's an easy way to do this. And then it turns out there's an easy way. So what you want to do is right here on layout, we're going to go back to vertical. Let's see these ellipses right here. We can click on those and we can say add a custom card. And so then that added this custom card, which PowerApps is kind of covering up, but you see it's right here. And so if we scroll to the bottom, we'll see there's our data card 1. And so I'm going to pull this up and put it the 4th thing in the list, right after our birthday. So like that. And then we also know with PowerApps that once, get this out of the way. Once this is on here, right, we do snap to columns. So if I grab this and start dragging it this way, hey, look at that. It's taken up the whole screen. Yay. So now we'll kind of resize it. And then what I might do is for the fill, say, let's make that blue. Real complicated stuff here. So like that, and then we'll do a label, and we'll change the color there so you can read it to white. I said white, and then we'll make the text say, subsection. So it's not actually a subsection, right? There's not any type of repeating tables doing that going on. I do need to make a video on repeating tables and stuff, but it gives you that visual element, right? So you could break it up into, person details and then customer details and then, description. But in InfoPath, a lot of times we would kind of visually like to break the forms up so it was easier for people to follow along as they were filling it out or consuming the information. And so that's what this cute little bar gave us the ability to do. Right, we'll move this kind of a little more over here, like so. And so that gives you that visual feel, right, that familiarity that we had in InfoPath with a pretty easy step. Now, another thing that I ran into with this particular form was you can see that I have a notes field here, and it's got lots of text, right? If we hit play and I start using the mouse or the keyboard to scroll over, there's a lot of text here. I want to be able to see that a little better. So my first thought was grab that field and make it bigger. Well, that did not help, right? It made it bigger, but it still just goes sideways. So what it turns out is that on these fields, if you go to mode, I learned this just the other day, mode, instead of single line, back that up and then do multi-line. That's what we actually wanted, right? Now we have all the text in there in a paragraph wrap format like we expected. That was a big win for me the other day. The other option that's available to you there, right, just so you know, is that you can also do password. Dot. And so dot password, and it's just going to do the dots in place of whatever they typed in. I haven't messed with that one. I haven't used it for an actual customer app, but I thought it was worth noting that, things to put in the old thinker for later on when we're building more complex forms. All right. So then that was setting up all that. You always know you can go in here and change these. And the reason that all of my fields have, its favorite color all is one word without the space in the middle is because I make my SharePoint list that way so that when I pull them into PowerApps, I don't have to deal with favorite underscore %20 underscore, right? The special character for a space. I don't want to mess with that, so I make them all this way. And then both in SharePoint and in PowerApps, I can then rename them to be the right thing. The same up here, right? Title is currently title. What the heck is that? I don't want it to be title. I want it to be name. All right, something like that. Real easy to fix. Oh, I left a T on it, but you got the idea. All right, so that gets a lot of that. Another thing that we wanted to talk about real quick is we want to look at how do we take favorite color here and let's hide this particular field, or let's not make this field editable if we're not the right person. So this comes up all the time. The way that you do this, the easy way, right? There's a lot of complicated ways, but for most situations, what works really well, we hit the little drop down here and we're going to find display mode, right? And so display mode right now is set to parent display mode, and we know it's an edit form, so it's set to edit. Well, let's change this. So click advanced, unlock this guy. And so instead of taking the parent's display mode, we're going to have our own. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a little formula for it. We're going to say if user.email equals, and in this case, we'll just use my email address, shane.young. Oh, I don't even know how to spell my email address. Zebras.com, like so. So if they equal that, then display mode equals edit. If not, display mode equals view. And so what we'll see, because I'm not logged in as myself right now, I'm logged in as admin. What we see here is, department, IT, all these things, they're all editable, but my favorite color is red is not editable. So for a lot of these cases, when I talk to people, this works out for them, right? And so here I hard coded if user is email, but you could, you do any type of formula you want. So if you've got somewhere else, another list you want to go and check for email addresses, or you want to make sure that, someone else is doing it, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but this is how I think about it first. This is the easy ways. If I can do it with a simple if, then let's try and do it with an if. There are other ones like data connection properties where we can look and see if the user has edit access to the list and a bunch of stuff like that gets weird. There's a really complicated blog post out there that talks about how to do it based on AD groups. So there are more complex ways, but that works just fine. Now the other thing you do, maybe favorite color is really secret, right? We don't want to know it at all. So what you might do here, maybe I'm going to click on the whole favorite color card, and instead of just changing the field, we could take advantage of visible. So we could do the same thing, right? We could do if, username equals Shane at Bold Zebras, then visible is true, else false, and then it wouldn't be here. It'd be a blank spot in that place. So the reason I bring that up is because that can help people. And one of the questions I had today was, I want to have screens that only the CEO can get to. Well, have a screen where there's a bunch of buttons and have the CEO's button on the screen and just set the visible only if it's the CEO who is currently logged in, only let him see the button, right? Because one of the nice things about PowerApps is you can't get to screens unless there's a way to navigate to it. Unless there's a button on the screen to press, that's the only way you're going to get to that screen. So it's not obscurity, or it's not security by obscurity, it's security by not giving them access to the control that navigates them there. So that's a way, to kind of start thinking about how to do the conditional access type of stuff in these situations. All right. Okay. So another thing I want to show you, let's get a little more complicated now, is, all right, so we've got a screen one, we got item details. I'm going to make another screen. So new screen, I'm going to call this one settings. Why? Because this is going to take advantage of the fact that, once again, you can't get to screens unless you've been given a way to access to it. So I'm never going to give a navigational way to get to the settings screen. So I can use this for a couple things. One of the things I can do, and I borrowed this concept from somebody on the internet, right? But this can be my app notes, right? Notes about the app. So then that way, next time I come in here, I have a place where I've written down, why did I do this? What special considerations did I have? So it gives you a place to do documentation for the app within the app that only people who can edit the app can ever see. Pretty good trick. I was glad I picked that up. I think it was Todd Baginski I got that from. So the other thing, though, was thinking through this concept a little more. I came up with something on the project I was working on recently. And what I did there is I said, you know, with this customer, they want to use their own colors, right? They want their blues and their greens and their type of things. And so I can't just type blue everywhere I want it to be blue. It's a very specific code. And so to do that, I wanted to be able to type. I like to type easy things. So what I did was I went over here. I'm going to grab what I did. Grab this, and then we'll go explain what we did. And so I go over here to my settings screen, and I'm going to create a new label. All right, we're going to drag it down here, and we're going to call this Kawasaki Green. All right, turns out I used to race motorcycles. And I had a Kawasaki, and I loved my Kawasaki. So I'm going to take a field, and I'm going to set the color for that field to be this, right? Color value, and then #66CB32. The way I got 66CB32 was I went out and got a little color picker so I can snag it. It has a thing where you can highlight it, hover over a color, and it'll give you the code. And so I just stuck that code into PowerApps, and now I get this pretty Kawasaki green. Speaking of PowerApps colors, right, there are a whole bunch. So here are all the built-in colors. So if you're a fan of Alice Blue, then you can just take advantage of that instead of, you know, all the work I'm about to show you. All right. And I'll put a link in the description to that if you want to see it. Okay, but so now that I've got Kawasaki Green set as green, I'm going to change this fill to be fill Kawasaki Green, right? So then everywhere inside my app, what I do is I will take, and so then for this guy, right, I'm going to make sure I'm on the rectangle. Where is he? So there's my rectangle, and I'm going to say the rectangle fill. And now what I can do is I can say fill Kawasaki, fill Kawasaki Green dot color. Boom, it's green, right? So now I'd go into this guy, fill for this guy, it's going to be the same thing. Fill Kawasaki Green dot color. And so then now I've got that green available everywhere in my app. The other thing about this though is because I'm never sure when customers are going to change their mind, right? Maybe instead of greens now they're into reds. No problem. I come over here, I change the color of this from color value whatever to red. And then what happens immediately? Our screens are all red. So when I build customer apps, all the colors that I use when I'm using their proprietary colors, I do via the settings screen, and then I just feed it all the values across the app that way. Works out really great. The other trick, since we're talking about tricks, I didn't plan on showing you, but I'm gonna show you anyway. Take this screen, items, or no, actually I'll show you the other trick in a few minutes. Let's finish this form up. Okay, so now that we've got this set, we need two buttons, right? We need a submit button and a back button. So let's insert a button, drag it down here. Now, once again, right, for my button, not the color, color is the text, fill is what I want, right? And we'll say fill is fill Kawasaki Green dot color. Boom. So that way it's keeping my colors consistent. I like it. I will also do the for the whole screen itself, right? Remember, screens have a fill, so I won't set it to Kawasaki Green, but I'll set it to dark gray real quick. But so the same thing, my screen fill, I have a fill for the screens, and so I use that to kind of, once again, drive that consistency. You can also see there's a bunch of other stuff that's still blue over here, so I would need to go fix all of those. All right, so with our submit button though here, let's change the text to submit. And so with that, we know all we have to do to make that work is set the onSelect to submit form, and then sadly I did not rename my form, so it's form 1. So boom, if we hit that, any changes we make will get pushed back in the app. And then we'll have another button, and now maybe instead of doing that, let's copy this button, make it easier. Control-C, Control-V, grab this button, put it down here, and so then we'll make this one cancel. Now, this button, what I want to talk about for a second, when you get to this one, you could either use back, right? And so then back, transaction or transition cover. And so, let's cancel all that. Let's go here. So screen 1. So play. So when I go here and they hit cancel, it goes back. The problem with back for me, and I don't ever use it for a specific reason, and that's because it can be a mystery where you go to when you end up with apps with screens upon screens, right? I have several apps where, it's like I go into screen 1, I go into screen 2, and then 3, and then 4, and I kind of go down rabbit holes. Well, back will always take me to the last one. So if I'm coming down, it'll take me back up. But if I'm going up, it'll take me back down. It gets confusing. I get myself in trouble with back. So I try never to use it. So instead, I just do navigate, and then I would navigate back to screen 1. I have to pick a transition, so I would pick that transition. And so then same exact effect, it's going to get me the same place, but now I know for sure where the button's going to take me, and it keeps me out of trouble. I need to stay out of trouble as best I can. All right, a couple other things I want to point out, just to remind you guys as you're modifying these. Remember that with your cards, so I've selected a specific card here. One of the options you have is border. And so if you see, look, border color is already set, border style is already set, but border thickness is 0 by default. So if you set this to 5, ooh, crazy. But that gives you that boxed effect. So you could either set the border on the individual cards or your entire form. Same thing, his border thickness is 0. And then you can go and change the blue to the red or the Kawasaki green or whatever you want it to be. But you do have those abilities. So those are just little easy flip boxes for you, right? Changing the border thickness gets those. So that gets you that gets you that. Let's see, what else do I want to show you guys? I feel like that was a lot of what it was after. You can see I messed up this guy, right? Someone grab, I don't know why. Job title 3 ended up being in the wrong place. Let's grab the whole thing. Let's kind of resize. There we go. Just get PowerApps to try again so it stays in our 3-column format. But I feel like this is really working towards what we want. The only other thing I might have done is, so after I submit form, what do you want to do? We want to navigate back to screen 1. All right, so that way after they make their edits, they get sent back home. All right, so that'll do all of that. So the last thing I want to talk about real quick, and this is just into my app building style more than anything else. But I made a lot of changes on this screen that I have to make over and over again if I have a multi-screen app. So what I'll do is after I do the first one, I'm going to say duplicate the screen. And so it gets set down here at the bottom. Where is it? Item details. Let's start collapsing these things. Settings. Oh, it's item details 1, right? So we're going to change this guy. We're going to rename him to blank screen. And so then in my blank screen, I'm going to get rid of this control. So we'll delete that. And we'll delete this. And so then I have just this guy, right? So, and I wouldn't obviously label all these properly. But what this does is if I just always start with this, it gives me the things I wanted, right? It's got the screen fill color already set. It's already got a header at the top because every screen is going to have a header. And then it's got a button on the page so I can just copy that button over and over again to get my formatting. Just a little thing. It just makes it easier. The last app I built, it had way too many screens. I probably built it wrong because it had so many screens. But it was real easy for me to create additional screens because I just kept using the blank screen, right? So I just grab this. I'd be like, all right, duplicate this one now. And this is, new item. All right, so I give it its name, and then I would take it. I'd move it up to where I wanted it. And then bammo, whammo, I had this all set up. All right, so hopefully that gives you guys a little more of a feel of kind of how you might recreate your InfoPath forms from a visual point of view. I know I still need to work out for you kind of what you would do with repeating tables. I've got some different solutions I've used. There's just not one I love yet, so that's why I've had a hard time making a video. But pressure me down below in the comments if you're like, man, I really need that repeating tables. Also, if you have other ideas, other things that you want to see, right? All of these videos these days come from people like you asking me questions, whether it's an email to my Bold Zebras address or in the comments below or in the PowerApps community forums. I'm answering questions, and then some of the questions I'm like, man, everybody wants to know that. Like this came straight from a question. So ask away, and I'm always happy to help. Or if you just want me to build your Power App for you, I can do that too. All right? Well, thanks, and have a great day. Hey, it's me again. Just a reminder, if you don't mind, click the old subscribe button over here. That always helps me out. Or if you want to work together, you can always hit me up through the Bold Zebras. Or if really what you want is some more of these Power App videos, which is probably what you want, then the playlist is somewhere on the screen here. All right, thanks. Have a great day.